practice. But the second half for us is going to be so critical offensively in our ability to be the best conditioned team physically and mentally and emotionally, but also on defense. As we touched on earlier, we're going to face so many of these up-tempo teams that part of their goal is to wear you down and then to make their plays in the second half. And they can make their plays a variety of ways. One is physically, when a guy just can't withstand it anymore and gets beat. The other way is mentally, where you have a coverage breakdown or a gap breakdown because you line up incorrectly, because you just can't think properly. So today was really meant to work the guys, and I thought they responded really well, and I was proud of them.
How will you know when your team is in shape?
When they go through these practices and they just kind of say, give us some more, coach, that mentality. And some of the guys were giving me that today, which was encouraging, quite honestly. And I was really encouraged by the defensive line. So maybe they're getting more in shape than I'd give them credit for. I was proud of Kenny Bigelow. I was proud of Claude Pellin, two guys that the first couple days of spring ball could barely stand up, halfway through practice. Today, they're the ones making the plays in the backfield in the fourth quarter of practice. So that's telling me a lot. Those scenarios are telling me a lot. You ask Trey Madden, if you ask me, that guy's in shape. He's been playing. He's playing hard, and he's doing a lot of really good stuff for us. So there's a lot of guys that are showing a great deal of improvement. What's the threshold of saying, okay, now we're in shape? It's a feel thing, it's a feel thing. And believe me, these practices are harder than the games, and they'll be in great shape. When September rolls around, they'll be ready to play.
Justin kind of deferred to you on this. He asked Adoree Jackson.
That's not a good thing. When he defers to me.
He just asked where Adoree Jackson will get his first look. Are you going to start him on defense or on offense?
I think he's going to get some of both, quite honestly. We mentioned this in the staff meeting the other day, and we said, we'll start crossing that bridge come June when we're done with spring ball. The guys are off the road recruiting. We're back in the office. We've got some summer camps going, and then we're really getting ourselves prepared for training camp. That's when a lot of those discussions are going to come about. And it's not just about Adoree. You talked about Juju Smith. You talked about Rasheed Johnson. We've got a handful of those types of guys that could potentially do things on both sides of the ball. So, it's not something that you just do on a whim. We need to be really structured in how we're doing it and what we're putting on all of their plates, mentally and physically, so that they can have success. We've traditionally always thrown our freshmen in there day one with the ones to see how they respond just emotionally. The guys who have the big eyes and the guys that really love to compete and just feel comfortable. And then we start getting information on them. What are the things that they do well? And then keep trying to feed them the things that they do well so they can have some success and build some confidence. And then the areas where they're maybe not quite as ready for, what are we doing on the side individual to build those things up? So I bet he does a couple things on each side of the ball on day one, because we need to gather the information. And so it's going to be really critical for us to be really well structured that first week of training camp, so that we're getting enough information on Adoree and all of those freshmen when we first get them.
Any decision on the quarterback?
I'm kind of where I was on Tuesday. I got a feeling, I just like to really know, I want to really know. And I'll have one of those moments, and it will feel great,
Will you get one of those moments before the spring game?
I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So you're
the guys
on the sitting on it phase?
Yeah, it's marinating. You have a good steak, you put something good on it, and you put it in the fridge and let it marinate. That's kind of what it's doing. I'm not ready to cook it yet.
On that same note of getting in shape, a lot of guys have been quick to point to Ivan Lewis for their huge physical growth in the offseason. Is that what you've seen kind of across
I love
the
Ivan.
field?
Ivan's amazing. I've been impressed with Ivan since we were together here. We were both assistants here, and he came with me up north for 5 years, came back down here, and he was a strength coach of the year, national strength coach of the year this past year. he does a great job. You know, he does a really nice job of balancing the guys from a build them up standpoint, but also working flexibility, working conditioning, working mental toughness. There's so much that goes into it, and how important that position is to the success of any college football program is huge. I mean, you think about it, we're going to end next Saturday at the Coliseum, and Ivan's got him. You know, he's got him for how many ever months until we come back out here for the start of training camp, and that's a critical time. Not just how big and buff our guys get, how flexible they remain, their wind, their conditioning, their mental toughness to fight through some of these types of practices. And so I couldn't be more impressed with Ivan and his staff have done. And I'm glad to hear that our players are responding to him, because he's not easy, you know, but he is motivating. He stays on the cutting edge, and I think the guys really feel like they improve when they're with him.
On the theme of conditioning for the incoming freshman, does Ivan, is he already in contact? Because the pace that you're setting, these players probably have never been in this type of situation.
They've got a responsibility, and they're working right now. They have no idea how to really work, but they're working enough. I do know that. We'll get them here. We'll get a handful of them in late May. We'll get the rest of them in early June. And Ivan's got, you know, 2 months for a couple of the guys, 2.5 months to get them ready. And that's plenty adequate time to get them prepared for practice. Then from practice, then we have 30 more days to really get them in game shape. And so it's plenty enough time. We can make that happen.
I know you can't speak on specifics of it, but what's it like to be back here at SC and have so much talent that's able to come watch practice from a recruiting standpoint?
Well, you know, I think it's a unique setting. We're one of those rare schools in the country that we've got a great deal of recruits within driving distance of our campus, and we're fortunate. We've got a beautiful campus. It's a great place, and the kids like to come and watch. So that's one of the reasons I think why USC has been USC for so long. You know, Southern California's got a very populated area, and there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of good football players, and they have an opportunity to come watch our guys work and play and feel motivated being on our practice field or being in the Coliseum. I think that's all part of the process, quite honestly.
Do you think that gives you what kind of advantage over maybe other schools?
Well, you know, there's only 2 of us in Los Angeles, you know, and so I think both of us, you know, reap some of the benefits of that, as opposed to some other schools that aren't in Los Angeles. And a lot of schools get on airplanes to fly to Los Angeles to recruit. And our 2 schools, our assistant coaches get in cars and drive on the 405 and the 110 and the 10 freeway. You know, it's just different.
Coach, you guys have over 70 scholarship offers out now. Does something change with recruiting from when you were first here to now? Do you have a different strategy at all?
The strategy is to get the best players we can get. We're trying to get the 25 best players we can get that fill the needs on our team. And we've got specific needs, and we're trying to fill them, you know. And when those slots get filled, we'll move on to the other ones.
Are you trying to get it done quicker maybe than you guys did?
No, we're just being aggressive. We're trying to identify the talent that's out there, and we think we've got a great feel for it, and we just want to be aggressive with it.
Antoine mentioned he's never been recognized by a head coach since he's been here. You, as an offensive guy, but you're the head coach, but what does it mean to kind of give those guys on the other side of the ball?
Well, I'm the head coach. I'm not the offensive coordinator, you know, and I appreciate the work Antoine's done. He's had a heck of a spring ball, and along with a lot of guys, like I said, you know, Scott Starr, what a spring ball he's had up until this point. Kevon Seymour, Chris Hawkins, a lot of guys on the defense side have really done well and have gotten better. But I think Antoine's been really the standard on the defensive side of the ball all spring long, and he's really matured to me. You know, I like the guy a lot. I like him on the field. I like him in there too. He's a good guy, and he's a great leader for us.
How thankless of a job can that be?
It can be if you're just a space eater, but he's not. He's a playmaker. I mean, that guy lives in the backfield. He does an amazing job of making the ball bounce to the perimeter, and he does it with tremendous energy. If you saw his energy here in the fourth quarter, that was for a man 320 pounds who we were limited at that position today. We didn't have a lot of numbers, and he took extensive reps and just continued to do it and never once complained or just the woe is me never crept in for a second. It was the guy was in sheer dominator mode, and there was not an ounce of survival mode, which is key to our success.
one last one.
Lobendon and Rogers are your starting guards. Are they playing at a high enough level to keep those positions in the fall when Walker and Simmons and the others come? Or is that just going to open it?
It's up to those guys when the fall rolls around. You know, I mean, it's up to the guys that are playing now, and it's up to the guys that come back, and then the new guys that come in. So they'll decide that of what that level is. I don't know yet. The best guys are going to play that give us the best chance to be successful.